This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by my good friend Carl Greaves. Carl, I always like to refer to you as Mr. Boxing. I feel like there's nothing in boxing that you haven't done. And you're back this weekend, another show, Midlands title fight topping the card. But before all of that, how's everything? You're good?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Josh. Great to see you doing well, mate. Great to see you working with a big channel like Seconds Out. So yeah, you've done really well, mate. So really pleased. I remember when you were just starting out. So you've come a long way, mate. Like myself, I suppose. But yeah, everything's going well. Can't complain. Knocking on now. I think Grantham going to be about the 158th show. So come a long way since 2007. And yeah, really pleased, and it's going to be a good card as well.
Well, I remember being there for a couple of the cards last year. I remember being there for the 150th show in Newark. Um, Before we dive in, so I've got a couple of questions on obviously the overall small hall scene and obviously yourself being involved. But before that, just give us a rundown of the card you've got this weekend, because it's a very, very strong card, what we've just been saying off camera for small hall, non-televised. It's a good show.
Yeah, it is a good show. I mean, top of the bill is a real 50-50. Tom Carlin, 12-0 with 4 knockouts, and Troy Coleman, who's 12-3 with 5 knockouts. And obviously, Troy's a live opponent. He's been, I mean, I looked at his record the other night again. I mean, he's boxed in Bangkok, he's boxed in Dubai, he's boxed in Australia, he's boxed in Thailand. He's got a lot of experience. He's won a couple of titles as well. So it's a good fight, a very good fight. I mean, I rate Tom. I think he's a good fighter. I think when people see the full potential of what Tom can do, they'll be very surprised. I mean, I've worked with Tom a long, long time since a young boy, and I'm delighted to be able to get him a Midland area title fight, and what a cracking fight it is.
And then
Yeah,
obviously
I know.
another name on the card, you've got Callum Johnson, obviously a very big name in the British boxing scene. How good is it to have someone like him on your cards?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I've been working with Callum now for his last couple of fights. He's been coming down, training with his cousin Tom Pogson, who's also on the bill at 5-0 cruiserweight with good amateur pedigree. Tom's got himself, so he's been coming down with Tom. He's been enjoying it. I don't really know where we are long term, but short term, we've been working well together. He's still managed by Joe Gallagher, who he was training with previously, but it's a long way for Callum driving all the way to Manchester, and he finds it a lot more comfortable being a bit more local with me. But I'm delighted to have him on the bill. He's been on my shows a few times over the years, and this is the second time in a row. He's fine. I mean, obviously, big pedigree, former British Commonwealth light heavyweight champion, WBO global light heavyweight champion, former Commonwealth Games gold medalist representing Scotland, and a former world title challenger who actually dropped Berta Biev. I mean, what a great fight that was. Had him on the brink of defeat. I mean, he's one of the pound for pound best in the world. So, yeah, it's fantastic having Callum on the bill, and also along with a lot of the other prospects. You've got Jamie Bean unbeaten, Harvey Elding unbeaten, Shaden Warms unbeaten, Jay Grierson, who's managed by Dean Sugden, just down the road. We're working together now, which is great. Having Jade on the show, a local girl. Um, yeah, so, and obviously Tom Pogson as well. So, along with Callum, and then a great top of the bill.
And then for yourself, obviously, you mentioned 158 shows now as a small hall promoter. I remember talking to you last year for my college project about your story in boxing and how everything's come to where you are now. But what are the struggles that you go through, I guess you could say, on a daily basis as a small hall promoter?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, my days are hectic, really. I mean, I'm in the gym working with fighters. I've also got an health club that I'm involved with heavily. I own that, and I'm overseeing that a lot. It's actually joined onto my boxing gym. I mean, I run classes, I do a few PTs, and obviously, in between all that, I'm promoting my shows and manage quite a lot of fighters as well, trying to keep all them busy. It's not easy, but I've done it a very, very long time now. I've been retired. I think it's coming up to 20 years. My last fight was on Saturday, I think, September the 14th, 2004, my last ever fight. So, 20 years now I've been involved in the business side of things. I mean, I went straight into the business side of things after fighting. And I won't have it any other way. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a struggle sometimes. I'm spinning a lot of plates, but I cope. like I say, it's not easy, but I always manage to do the job, and I think I do a good job as well. So yeah, but like I say, I mean, it's fantastic. Boxing has been my life since a little boy. I mean, I've been in and out of the gym since I won't say out of the gym. I've been in the gym since 9 years old, as a fighter and now as a coach, and very demanding. I don't think I've had my tea on the table at 5 o'clock for many years, but yeah, like I say, I really enjoy what I do.
And a fighter that I'd like to just quickly ask about as well, Emma Dolan, a massive win for her last time out on the Matchroom card in Birmingham. And from what I can remember seeing, it seems that she's been ordered to fight for the EBU title now, if I'm correct.
Yeah, we had a big win. I think she was underdog. A lot of people thought that Shannon would beat her. I mean, we knew different. I always knew that Emma had a number, and we proved right. She boxed fantastic. She stuck to a game plan. She didn't really have to go into third gear, to be honest with you. She boxed well within herself, and we got ordered to fight for the. We got ordered as a mandatory for the EBU, which was fantastic at the time. But obviously, unfortunately, Matchroom decided not to take the options on. The reason being was Shannon Ryan didn't want the rematch. So obviously, they've got Shannon under contract and they have to bring her back with a fight. And they didn't want the rematch. So they never really had a place for Emma, which was very, very disappointing. So although she got ordered and made mandatory for the European, obviously people know the struggles with no TV, financially putting shows on, and to be putting a fight like that on, it was just not possible for me, especially with the time frame we had. I never had the time frame to really look into it properly and get the finances sorted and look at sponsorship. So I rang around a few promoters, and Boxer was interested as well. They was interested in doing something with Emma. They still are, but we asked for the purchase to be postponed a little bit longer. I called the Italian manager, and he turned around and said, "No, we're going to let it go to bids." Now, I think he was daft myself, because if he left it a bit longer, maybe we could have got it on a TV platform and got the girls more money. I mean, he offered me ridiculous money to go to Italy, and there's no way I'm sending Emma to Italy. I mean, you know the story in Italy. You have to knock them out to get a draw. I mean, it's so hard getting a decision over there, and I think it wasn't named Sylvia, is it? It's a very strong girl. She's only lost one fight. That was for the world title. So it was probably going to be likely to be a points job. And even though I'm confident Emma beating her, if it went to the cards, I wasn't confident of getting the decision. So I withdrew her, which didn't really want her. So I withdrew her from a position, and now we're just back to square one. Now we're looking at defending a British and Commonwealth title now against Lauren Parker very soon.
Is that, I guess, part of the struggles, like you say, not being televised? It's a lot harder to make the finance. I remember talking to you before the 150th show that you did, and I remember you saying how much of a struggle it was, and there were times when you weren't sure the card was going to be able to go on. Is that just one of the many struggles you encounter? But unfortunately, this is one where it's not just damaging for yourself, but damaging for the career of the fighter as well.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, when you get to the level that Emma's at, I mean, British and Commonwealth champion, you need a TV promoter. I mean, I put her on for the Commonwealth title. She fought on a small little show and won the Commonwealth title. I managed to get quite a bit of sponsorship for that show, which really helped. If I never had got any sponsorship, I'd have actually lost a fortune. But we did that, and obviously we defended on a GBM show. It was still a small old show, but we got an half decent deal on that. And then obviously she hit the big time. She went on the big DAZN show, on a Matchroom show, won the belts, and all of a sudden you get a contract there, and the options are all in there in black and white, what she's going to be earning. And the next minute you get a call saying they're not going to they're not interested in taking the options for the reason I've just said. So it's just not possible for me as a small oil promoter, and for any small oil promoter who's not got some financial backing and big sponsorship, to be putting these sort of fights on. I mean, you're looking at 5 or 6 thousand euros for sanction fees. Then you've got your judges, your refs, you've got to fly them all in from abroad. You've got the supervisor, you've got the purses, hotels, food. It's just absolute ridiculous. You've got no chance of putting a fight like that on with no TV. Unless, like I said before, I could have had time to work on getting some major backing and some sponsorship. But unfortunately, the purse bids was too soon. I mean, September the 5th, I think we only had about 2 weeks to get everything sorted, and it wasn't long enough. But yeah, I mean, putting a small old show on, just a small old show, an area title fight's bad enough. You know what I mean? When your sanction fee is only £100. You know what I mean? English titles is a struggle, but you could probably manage to afford that. And I have done it in the past. I put British title fight on, I put Commonwealth title fight on. You know what I mean? I've put many of fights on over the years, but it is a struggle. Without TV, it's so difficult to make it work.
Well, hopefully we get some big news for Emma soon because we can see
Yeah,
the
we're
talent,
working on it. Yeah.
especially the rise that you've been on. I remember being there the night she won the Commonwealth and seeing her get the big win on the Matchroom card. It was definitely one of those moments where we couldn't help but feel happy for you. You know, it was a big win.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
Just moving forward, we're 9 days away now from Riyadh season. Probably the thing that's changed the sport of boxing. They hit London next week as Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois tops the bill. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty of the fight, what do you make of the fight as a whole?
Great fight. Really good fight. Two British fighters fighting for the heavyweight world title. I mean, you can't get no better. I mean, you go back to the days when I was like 14, 15 year old. I think I went to watch Frank Bruno and Lennox Lewis at Cardiff Arms Park with my good friend Ishan Pickering. I mean, it was fantastic. We went on the bus and it was unbelievable. I mean, it's them sort of nights. British heavyweight championship boxing, you can't beat. And they've got a bit of history between them as well. Rumours have it that Dubois really badly hurt him in sparring, and yeah, it's a great fight. I think obviously moving forward, result wise, I think Joshua might beat him. I think he's a little bit more experienced at that level. He's improved a lot under Ben Davison. He's yeah, I think he's gonna win this fight. I mean, it's not gonna be easy. I mean, Dubois can really punch. I mean, and you know at that sort of level and heavyweights, you know what I mean. One punch can change the whole outcome. But I'm going with Joshua. I think he's going to win this fight. I've swayed a few times, but I've looked into it now, and I think that Joshua's going to win it.
Well, I think we can all agree with you when you say that you've been swaying a few times. I think most boxing fans have. I'm going to do something a little differently. I'm going to thank my colleague Eamon Khan for this because I saw him do this last night with Joe Joyce, so I'm going to try it here. So I'm going to say 5 different attributes, and I want you to say who you think's better and why. So we'll start off with power.
I think they're both about the same. I think they've both got similar power. It's hard to really sway one way. I think Dubois might have the one punch power, but I think Josh was a little bit more sharper. Puts his punches together well. But one punch power, I'd say Dubois, but accumulation, I'd say Joshua.
Speed.
Speed, definitely Joshua.
I like this. I like the confidence in that one. IQ.
I've got to say Joshua again.
I think right. Okay, this one I think might have you turning your head a little bit. Endurance.
I think Dubois. I think Dubois. Yeah, I think
Any
Dubois.
any
Yeah.
reason?
I mean, people saying he hasn't got the art because of obviously what happened with the Joyce fight, and he obviously took a knee with Usyk and never got up. But you know what? I think he's learned from them. I think he's he's had people in his ear now saying, "Listen, Daniel, you've got to get up. You've got to show that big heart." And I don't think he's been. Obviously, I think he did the right thing in the Joyce fight. I mean, his eye was a right mess. In the Usyk fight, maybe he could have got up. He probably looked like he'd had enough. He'd probably looked a bit spent, but you got to remember he was very, very unlucky in that fight. I mean, I've watched that back a few times, and I definitely think that wasn't a low blow. I think that was right. I was on the protector, but it wasn't under the belt. And I think he was very unlucky, to be honest with you, not to come away with a win there. But no, I think he's learned a lot, Dubois. That's just why you can't write him off. I think he's matured a lot as well as a fighter. And I think he thinks he's got Joshua's number because of what happened in sparring. But we all know sparring and fighting is a completely different world. With no egg guards on, them smaller gloves under the lights. It's a completely different world. And I think that Josh was a little bit more experienced, a little bit more seasoned, and yeah, I think he wins this.
And just the last attribute that I've got, you already kind of mentioned it there, but Hart.
Yeah, people can say that Joshua quit with Ruiz. I mean, look at him. He turned his back. He didn't want to know. I mean, I want to say 50-50 here. I think they've both, there's both the signs that they could quit. There's both the signs that they could quit. But I do think they've both learned the lessons from over the years and the past fights where they've been called quitters. And I think there's too much pride and too much to lose in this fight for anybody to quit. I think they're both going to go out on the shield, and I think it will be a great fight. I think they're both going to show plenty of heart. So forget the past. This is now, and I think they're both going to show plenty of heart. And I can't split them on that. I think they both need to show heart, and they both need to show people that they're not quitters and they can go on to go through the pain and the agony and become champion.
I like the way you've assessed that there. Just one fight on the undercard that I want to get your thoughts on. Tyler Denny versus Hamza Shiraz. Obviously, I think one of the big themes that we've been talking about here is the small hall scene. And when you look at the small hall scene, Tyler Denny was someone that has really transformed his career while working through the small hall scene. How do you see him? How do you see him get himself getting on against Hamza Shiraz?
Listen, I think Shiraz is very special. I mean, he's tall, he's lean, there's not a lot on him, but he's got serious power. He's a bit of a Thomas Hitman Earns. I mean, them sort of lads, it's got not a lot on them, but they've got that natural power. I think that's what he's got. I mean, Tyler Denny's got a big heart. You can't write him off. He's got a big heart. I mean, look what he did in his last fight. I mean, he's got a massive heart. And no one gave him a chance in that. But he's up against it here. He's up against it. I like Tenor. He's a good friend. I mean, I'm good friends with the BCB, like Errol Johnson and that. They're a great team. And they've had it tough like myself. They've had no TV. They've had to bring the fighters through the hard way. And they've had the breaks just like myself. But sometimes you hit a brick wall and you can't get that break with certain fighters. But he's got it with Tyler Denny. What a massive opportunity. But I think it's a step too far, Hamza Shiraz. I mean, listen, I hope I'm wrong, because I do really like Tyler, but I think Shiraz is that little bit too good and a little bit special.
And then just moving forward, lastly, a big fight has been announced domestically in the super lightweight division recently. Adam Azim versus Ohara Davies. Now, I know you used to work closely with Boxer when Adam Azim was just coming up. It's his big fight, big breakout fight. Ohara Davies is no joke. What do you make of that fight?
Good fight, very good fight. I see it as a 50-50. Ohara Davies has got good power. I mean, we've not really seen Adam Azim tested on the chin yet. So I think he'll get tested in this fight. And I think Ohara Davies will be looking at it as his last chance. I mean, he's had a few chances and not quite made it. I mean, he fell short last time and obviously against Josh Taylor. But he's a good fighter. He's got good power. But Adam Azim, a little bit special, got good speed, good variation, works very hard, fit, young and fresh. So you've got to go with Adam Azim. But listen, Ohara Davies can punch, and we'll see what Adam Azim's made of if he gets hit on the chin, because it'll be very interesting, and we've not really seen that yet.
How big of a blow would it be for Adam's career if Ohara Davies is to be in? Because O'Hara's come out in the press conference today and said that this fight is a lose-lose for Adam Azim, because if Adam beats him, he'll say it's the expected result. And obviously, if he loses the fight, obviously it's self-explanatory what's happened. What do you make of those comments from O'Hara, first of all?
Well, obviously they've picked Ohara Davies because they think Adam's going to beat him, and obviously it's Ohara's chance to not let that happen. But I mean, Adam Azim's one of the big fish in the boxer stable. I mean, it'll be a big blow to the boxer stable if Adam Azim gets beat. and I'm pretty sure they're all confident that he won't. So like he's probably right, Ohara Davies. You know what I mean? People's expecting him to win, but if you don't, I mean, they're going to say that you're not as good as you thought you was. But like I say, I don't think Adam's been tested yet. I mean, he hasn't really. Let's be honest. I mean, and it just depends on what Ohara's got. I mean, he's big for the weight. But he can punch and he's awkward. I remember taking David Avanessian up to spar him a long, long time ago, and he surprised me actually. He was very awkward and hard to hit clean. But his last performance, he didn't do very well. You know what I mean? And I think obviously Adam's favourite, like I said before, but he can't write Ohara Davies off in this.
Do you feel that they could have, the Boxer team picking Ohara Davies, do you feel like they could have picked him at possibly the worst time? Because we can see the fire in his eyes to get back, especially after the way his last fight went.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I was quite surprised actually when I saw it announced. I was quite surprised because, like I say, he's no mug, Ohara Davies. I mean, I do rate him. I mean, he's like I said before, he's awkward, he's long, he's hard to hit clean, he's got a bit of power. So we'll see what Adam Azim's capable of and what he's made of in this fight. So yeah, it was an interesting one. Like I said, it raised my eyebrows a little bit, but to be the best, you've got to be the best. If Adam Azim's going to go anywhere, he's got to get past the likes of Ohara Davies. Let's be honest.
And just very lastly, obviously last time out for your man David Avanessian, a short notice fight against Jaron Ennis, a fight that there was no shame. Obviously, he showed probably some of the biggest heart I've seen in a ring this year. What's the plan with him moving forward now?
Yeah, I mean, it never did him any harm. I mean, obviously, it was always a very, very difficult task going over to Philadelphia for Ennis's homecoming on his new platform in Matchroom. It was always going to be up against it, especially with 4 weeks' notice. People don't realise when you say 4 weeks' notice, it was only really 3 weeks training, a week winding down over in Philadelphia, getting used to the time difference and what have you. So it was always a difficult task. But I'm telling you now, when you watch that fight close, if you watch the highlight reels of that fight, it looks like he took an hiding. It looked like he took an hiding. But I'm telling you now, people who want to watch that fight properly, watch the whole fight, and you'll see how often David caught him. He was catching him clean at times. It was very interesting. And he come back to the corner at the end of the fifth. We was never going to let him get hurt in that fight, especially at that notice. And he come back to the corner at the end of the fifth round. His face was all swollen, really bad. And I honestly thought he had a broken jaw or broken eye socket. It looked that swelled up. I mean, when we got out of the ring and he got examined, I mean, he went to hospital just for precautionary reasons, but he never had any breaks, which I was surprised about. And listen, David being David, we probably wanted to go on, but we did the right thing. We saved him for another day. I mean, me and Neil Marsh spoke beforehand, and we were never going to let him get hurt in that fight. But moving forward, I spoke to Neil the other day, and he's looking at trying to get him out again this year. I spoke to David yesterday, and he's back in training. I mean, listen, David's a gym rat. He's never out of the gym. And when I say he had 3 or 4 weeks' notice, he was always in the gym before that. But you know yourself, ticking over in a gym, training, you know what I mean, 4 or 5 times a week in your local gym's a little bit different to training for a fight. So, you know what I mean? He come over here, we got as much sparring as we can and as we could, and pad working and technical work. But yeah, I don't think nothing's really lost for David. I mean, he's still in a great position. I think that sort of level's a little bit step too far at the moment. But when he says 36, he's a young 36. He's fresh. He's never had a drop of alcohol in his life. Never touched a drug. He's a clean, living, healthy lad. And we've got a bit of mileage left in him yet, but let's bring him down a level. Let's get him back to European level, and let's see him demolish that sort of level, and we'll see what he's got.
Well, Carl, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Always good to catch up. And I'll see you on Saturday. I'll see you in
Right,
Grantham.
man, Josh. Yeah, look forward to seeing you, Josh. Yeah, look forward to seeing you, mate. Thank you very much.
Perfect, Carl. Thank you.